Ancient Greece was one of the most important civilizations in European history. One of its most important sites was Olympia, where archaeologists have been digging for more than a century and still find priceless artifacts. Hello friends, and welcome to our channel. Today, we'll talk that archaeologists found the earliest copy of history's most famous epic poem, which may shed light on one of Greece's greatest poems. So be sure to watch all the way through. Let's get started. According to legend, it was once home to Zeus, the king of the gods, and the temple of Zeus was built there. The holiness of the site may have contributed to it becoming the birthplace of the first Olympic Games around 400 AD. The Roman Emperor Theodosius ordered the end of the Olympics because they were a pagan festival, and they would not be recreated until 1896. The temple dedicated to Zeus was burned in 426 AD, and earthquakes a few years later destroyed what was left. The French began to disclose Olympia's ancient history in 1829, and the German government supported substantial archaeological studies of Olympia in 1875. Since then, researchers have uncovered sculptures at the site. Pottery, bronze objects, and terracotta roof tiles have helped date various site regions. Olympia's importance has been demonstrated by both the Greek Archaeological Services and the German Institute of Archaeology's excavations over the last 3 years, which carried them close to the Temple of Zeus and found something spectacular. Epic poetry is one of the oldest forms of literature. An epic is a long narrative poem about a great hero or hero's arduous adventures and superhuman feats. Courage and talent to defeat often supernatural challenges are thrilling. The Epic of Gilgamesh, about a great Sumerian king who loses his best friend and goes out on a search for the meaning of life, was written 4 millennia ago and may have influenced several Bible legends. English epics include Beowulf, written in Old English by the Anglo-Saxons before the Norman conquest. Other ancient epics are still important to modern religions, such as the Mahabharata and Ramayana, which are foundational texts of Hinduism. The Mahabharata is nearly 100,000 couplets long and tells the story of gods and men, a blend of history and myth that depicts Hinduism's early years. It fascinated ancient writers, but solid evidence of what happened is lacking. Our main source of information on the conflict is Homer's epic poetry, but the presence of the Greek gods raises questions about its historicity, and moreover, it was written centuries after the war was supposed to have taken place. The gods play a vital role in depictions of the Trojan War. According to legend, Zeus decided to diminish the human population by holding a beauty contest amongst the gods Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena. Paris, a prince of Troy, judged the event and chose Aphrodite as the winner. There's some controversy over whether Paris kidnapped Helen or whether she freely eloped with him to Troy, but Helen's husband, Menelaus, wasn't thrilled to lose his wife, so he called on Greece to help besiege Troy until he had Helen back. Agamemnon, brother of Menelaus, headed the 1,000-ship Greek navy. Many of Greece's greatest heroes responded, including Achilles, Ajax, and Odysseus. In the Odyssey, Athena and Apollo play major roles in the Trojan War's collapse. Odysseus, like in the Iliad, must face Poseidon's wrath in order to return across the sea. The Odyssey has 24 books, but only 109 hexameters. After 10 years of battling in Troy, Odysseus spends another 10 years roaming before reaching Ithaca. Even people who haven't read the poem will recognize many of the Odyssey's events. Odysseus faces Cyclops on the island of the nymph Calypso, the witch Circe on another island, and the Sirens, monsters whose lovely songs almost entice him to his doom. Even coming home was not the end of his fight. She had been gone so long that most didn't recognize him. Many men pressured Penelope to marry them after her husband's death. So again, Odysseus had to use cunning and strength, with a bit of help from the goddess Athena, to reclaim his life. Homer's poetry has been recited and studied all over the world for more than 2,800 years, and it has had a lasting impact but we have few records of the early editions of the text, which is part of what makes new discoveries so exciting. The fragments in Book 20 of the poem contain lines, not in the medieval version. It suggests that different storytellers were putting their own spin on the tale with every recitation. When the first copies of Homer's poems were written down, there wasn't a single authorized edition. The bards of the time practiced composition in recitation, which meant that every bard who recited it would have changed it slightly. The scribe would record the version he heard first. Most papyrus that has survived has been found in Egypt, where dry conditions make it easier to preserve fragile texts. An original manuscript of the Odyssey from the Roman era, especially from Greece, would be priceless. The most recent Olympia excavations did not find papyrus, but instead a clay tablet buried in a pile of rubble covered with bricks, stones, and tiles with 13 verses from the Odyssey from Book 14, when Odysseus returns to Ithaca after 10 years of wandering. The ministry calls it a remarkable archaeological, epigraphic, literary, and historical exhibit, as we have a few poems by him. Homer didn't describe himself in his work, but the dialect used in the Iliad and Odyssey may suggest his birthplace was in Turkey. Any descriptions of his life come from long after his death, and some say there are too many of them. Since the Odyssey was written, the Homeric epics have been centerpieces of classical education. But translations changed their meaning. In the 3rd century BC, a slave named Livius Andronicus edited the poem's first Latin edition, changing Zeus' name to Jupiter and Odysseus' name to Ulysses to make it more appealing to Roman audiences. The first translation of the Odyssey into English was by George Chapman in 1614 and 1615. But it was only the first of more than 60 English translations since 2017. In 2017, Emily Wilson became the first woman to translate the poem, winning praise for bringing a new perspective. With so many translations of the Iliad and Odyssey, it may be impossible to find an authentic text. The Homer Multi-Text Project aims to collect as many as possible. Homer's legacy ensures that discoveries, such as the tablet, will always be significant. It gives insight into the production of this iconic poem and adds depth to a cultural phenomenon that continues to evolve. That's it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to share and press the bell icon for more regular updates.